Hello, and welcome to Forgiveness in 5. I'm Susan Bolinger, and today we're talking about generational curses. And so I wanted to give you an example in the Bible of someone trying to break generational curses. And guess who it was? It was God. Yes. I want to explain to you about generational curses with the family of John the Baptist. Are you intrigued? Well, if you will remember, John the Baptist's father's name was Zacharias. And Zacharias was in the temple when the angel Gabriel came to him. And he told him that he and his wife, Elizabeth, would bear a son, and that he wanted him to call his name John. Well, that's not the custom that was had back at that time. But nonetheless, at this moment, Zacharias didn't believe what the angel Gabriel had to say. And so he was struck mute at that moment. He could not speak another word because he denied what the angel told him. He didn't believe it. So let's get back to the name John. John means the grace or mercy of the Lord. It means Jehovah has been gracious and has shown favor. Well, in Hebrew culture, a son born was a sign of a heritage and a future, and it was important to pass down the family name to a male child. Zacharias' family had come to circumcise the child on the 8th day, and they called him Zacharias after his father. Well, Elizabeth answered and said, "Not so, but he shall be called John." Well, the family became very upset and very offended at that moment because it was denying Zacharias' lineage. You must remember that Zacharias and Elizabeth, they had been barren. They had not been able to have children, and they were late in life. They were old in their age. And the family sitting right there at the circumcision saying, "How could you possibly do that? How can you deny the heritage of this family being passed down to this child and name it a name called John when there's not been a single person in our family named John?" Well, but in this instance, God chose his name because he wanted to do something new. And he needed John to have a prophetic bloodline from heaven to accomplish it. When they turned to Zacharias and asked him, he asked them for a writing tablet. And he wrote saying, "His name is John." And the family marveled. I love this part. And in that instance, because Zacharias finally was in agreement with what the Lord wanted to do, a miracle occurred and Zacharias' mouth was open. He was able to speak. For 9 months, he had not been able to say a single word. But because he finally agreed with what the Lord wanted to do in John's life, he was able to speak. And when he spoke, he didn't just speak just anything. He started praising the Lord because of what God was doing in this child's life. And the family responded, "What manner of child shall this be?" This child was to become a prophet of the highest. For thou shalt go before the face of the Lord to prepare his ways, to give knowledge of salvation unto his people by the remission of their sins. Wow, how amazing is that? When you can identify with the genetics from heaven, the enemy will be unable to silence the voice of their destiny and creation. And when Zacharias identified with heaven, the miracle happened and his tongue was loosed, and Zacharias began to prophesy. Zacharias' family were Levites. They were priests. But John, he became a prophet because of the lineage of Jesus, because of the lineage of God. It was totally different than the rest of his family. John's father went back to the temple, but John went to the desert. He was the voice crying out in the wilderness, preparing the way for the Jewish Messiah. In John 1:23, it says, "I am the voice of the one crying in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, as said the prophet Isaiah." John was the forerunner for Jesus Christ, and his ministry was very short. And because of that, he didn't need to deal with the genetics of his family's lineage. God set John apart from everyone else to prepare the way for Jesus Christ. And Jesus tells us in Luke 7:28, "For I say unto you, among those that are born of women, there is not a greater prophet than John the Baptist, but he that is least in the kingdom of God is greater than he." Wow. So that shows you that even the Lord broke a generational curse to make sure that his will was accomplished. I hope this teaching has kind of helped open up the realization of how important breaking generational curses are. I pray blessings over you, and I'll see you next time on Forgiveness in 5.